You know what's funny? I used to think I was clever. One of those guys who could make anyone laugh, who could turn any situation into a punchline. My mates down at the pub would slap my back and say I should have been a comedian. My wife would roll her eyes, lovingly, I thought, and tell me I was incorrigible. I posted one joke. One stupid, thoughtless joke on social media about the woman I'd loved for 15 years. And in the time it took for that post to go viral, 48 hours, I lost everything. My wife, my kids, my home, my entire bloody life. But here's the thing that keeps me awake at night, staring at the ceiling of my studio flat that smells like mildew and regret. The joke wasn't even the worst part. What I discovered after she left, about what she'd been hiding, about what my so-called mates had done, about the digital trail of betrayal that had been building for years. That's what truly destroyed me. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning, to when I thought I had it all figured out. My name's Daniel, and 3 months ago, I was living what I thought was a pretty decent life. Married to Sarah for 15 years. 2 kids, Emma, 13, and Jack, 10. I worked as a senior graphic designer at a decent firm in Manchester, made enough money to keep us comfortable. Sarah was a primary school teacher, the kind who stayed late to help struggling students, who spent her own money on classroom supplies. We weren't rich, but we were happy. Or so I thought. I'd always been the funny one in our relationship. Sarah was serious, thoughtful, deeply empathetic. I was the one who could defuse tension with a well-timed quip, who could make the kids giggle at the dinner table, who could turn a rubbish day into something bearable with a bit of humor. It was my thing, yeah? My identity. Daniel the funny guy. Daniel who could always get a laugh. Social media had become my stage. I had about 3,000 followers on Instagram. Not influencer numbers, but decent for a regular bloke. I'd post funny observations about married life, parenting fails, the absurdities of modern existence. My engagement was solid. People liked my content. It made me feel seen, valued, like I mattered beyond just being a husband and father and employee. Sarah never really got it. She joined Instagram years ago, but barely posted. Maybe a few pictures of the kids on holidays, a sunset here and there. She didn't understand the validation that came from hundreds of likes, dozens of comments from strangers telling you you're brilliant. She'd warn me sometimes to be careful about what I shared, to think about privacy, about how the kids might feel someday, reading about their childhood mishaps online. I'd brush her off. It's harmless fun, love. People need to lighten up. The troubles start on a Tuesday. Sarah had been stressed about her mom, who'd been diagnosed with early-stage dementia. She'd been driving 2 hours each way every weekend to help her dad cope, coming home exhausted and emotional. I'd been supportive, or at least I thought I'd been. I'd taken over more of the household stuff, hadn't complained when she was distracted or quiet. But that Tuesday, we'd had a row. Nothing massive, just one of those married couple disagreements about something stupid. She'd asked me to pick up Jack from football practice because she had a parent-teacher conference running late. Jack had waited 45 minutes before Sarah had to leave mid-conference to get him herself. When she got home, she was furious. Not shouting furious. Sarah never shouted, but that cold, disappointed fury that's somehow worse. She told me I was unreliable, that she couldn't count on me for the important stuff, that I was always on my phone but never actually present. I got defensive, told her I'd made one mistake, that she was being dramatic, that I did plenty around the house. The argument escalated. She went to bed without speaking to me, and I, like an absolute tosser, decided to vent to the internet. I crafted what I thought was a hilarious post. A photo of Sarah's coffee mug in the sink, one of her habits that mildly annoyed me. She'd make tea, drink half, and leave the mug wherever. The caption read, "Wife's been in a mood for 3 days because I forgot one school pickup." Meanwhile, her DNA is probably on 17 half-empty mugs scattered around the house like crime scene evidence. But sure, I'm the unreliable one. Hashtag married life, hashtag choose your battles, hashtag wife problems. I hit post at 10:30 that night. Went to bed feeling vindicated, like I'd gotten the last word. By morning, the post had 400 likes and 60 comments. My mates were chiming in with laughing emojis and "Mate, I feel this in my soul," And women, am I right? A few women had commented defending me, saying their husbands did the same thing and it was just how blokes were. I felt justified, seen, like I'd won the argument somehow. Sarah saw it over breakfast. I was showing Emma something on my phone when I noticed Sarah had her mobile out, staring at her screen with an expression I couldn't quite read. Then she looked up at me. You posted about our argument. On Instagram. The kids went quiet. I felt a flutter of unease but pushed it down with bravado. It's just a joke, Sarah. Don't be so sensitive. A joke. Her voice was flat. You told 3,000 strangers that I'm unreasonable. You mocked me. You made our marriage problems entertainment. That's not. You're twisting it. It's just how social media works. It's relatable content. Relatable. She stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. Do you know what's not relatable, Daniel? Having your husband humiliate you online instead of actually talking to you about what's wrong. She left for work without kissing me goodbye. First time in 15 years. I told myself she'd get over it. She was stressed about her mom. She'd calm down. But what I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that post was already being screenshot and shared. By lunchtime, it had been picked up by one of those toxic husband behavior Twitter accounts. By evening, it had 20,000 likes and had migrated to TikTok, where relationship coaches were using it as an example of emotional immaturity in marriages. By the next morning, I was a meme, and my wife had started documenting everything. The post kept growing. By Wednesday afternoon, I had gained 1,500 new followers and had journalists from 3 different online publications messaging me asking for interviews about modern marriage and social media boundaries. I was briefly, horrifically, internet famous. I took the post down by Wednesday evening, but the damage was done. It had been shared too many times. Screenshots were everywhere. Someone had even found Sarah's Instagram, her tiny, barely used account, and her most recent post, a photo of a sunset from 2 months prior, had 300 comments calling her sensitive and controlling and telling her to learn to take a joke. She changed her account to private, blocked anyone who'd commented, blocked most of my followers who she recognized. When I got home that evening, she was sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open. She looked up at me with eyes that were red but dry. I want you to understand something, she said quietly. What you did wasn't just embarrassing. It was a betrayal. You took something private between us and weaponized it for attention from strangers. Sara, I'm sorry. I really am. I took it down. It doesn't matter. It's out there forever now. Emma's friends' parents have seen it. My colleagues have seen it. Your own mother sent me a message asking if I was okay and saying she was disappointed in how I was treating you. That hit me. My mom said what? Your post made me look like a villain, Daniel. And you let it happen. You enjoyed it. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. Because she was right. I had enjoyed it. The validation, the likes, the comments from strangers taking my side. It had felt good to be right, even at her expense. What do you want me to do? I asked. I don't know yet, she said. But I need you to know that you've damaged something. And I'm not sure it can be fixed. She went upstairs. I heard our bedroom door close. Not slam, just close with that decisive click that somehow felt worse than shouting. I opened my phone, intending to post an apology. But when I opened Instagram, I saw something that made my blood run cold. There was a message request from an account I didn't recognize. The profile photo was blank. The username was just a string of numbers. The message said, "Mate, I thought you should know. Your wife isn't as innocent as she seems. Check your Ring doorbell footage from last Tuesday afternoon. The timestamp around 2 p.m. She's been lying to you." My hand started shaking that I didn't want to look. Some instinct told me that opening that door would lead somewhere I couldn't come back from. But curiosity, or maybe paranoia, won out. I pulled up our Ring doorbell app. We'd installed it 6 months prior after a spate of package thefts in our neighborhood. The camera captured our front porch and part of the driveway. I scrolled back to the previous Tuesday, the day of our argument. Sarah had told me she had back-to-back meetings until 3, which was why she couldn't get Jack. I found the 2 p.m. timestamp. Press play. At 2:17 p.m., Sarah's car pulled into the driveway. She got out, but she wasn't alone. A man emerged from the passenger side. Tall, fit, wearing business casual clothing. They stood by her car, talking for a few minutes. At one point, he touched her arm. She smiled. Not her usual smile, but something softer, more private. Then they hugged. Not a friendly pat on the back hug. A full, lingering embrace. When they pulled apart, he said something that made her laugh, and she playfully swatted his chest. He walked off down the street. She watched him go, then checked her phone and hurried inside. 15 minutes later, she left again in her car. I watched the footage 3 more times, my heart hammering. Who the hell was that? Why'd she lied about being in meetings? I checked other dates. The previous Friday, another afternoon where she claimed to be at school. There he was again, getting out of her car. 2 weeks before that. 3 weeks before that. She'd been meeting this man regularly. Sneaking around. Lying to me. The anger that rose in me was volcanic. Here I was, being crucified online for making one joke, and she'd been carrying on with some bloke behind my back. I'd been made to feel like the world's worst husband, and all along, she was the one betraying our marriage. I almost confronted her immediately, almost stormed upstairs and demanded to know who he was. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the memory of that anonymous message. Someone else knew about this. Someone was watching, and I needed to understand the full picture before I play my hand. I spent the next 2 hours going through everything I could access digitally. Our phone bill. She'd been texting a number I didn't recognize, hundreds of messages over the past 2 months. Our joint bank account. Several small cash withdrawals I hadn't noticed, 50 quid here, 30 quid there. Her email. I knew her password. We'd always been open about that sort of thing, showed nothing obvious. But her Instagram DMs, I logged in from my computer using her saved password from when she'd asked me to help her change her profile picture months ago, revealed something that made my stomach drop. There were messages with someone named Marcus Holloway. The conversation went back 4 months. Started professionally. He was apparently a parent of one of her students, asking about his daughter's progress. But over time, the messages had become familiar. Inside jokes. Compliments about her teaching style that veered into compliments about her as a person. Messages sent late at night. Strings of texts about their favorite books, childhood memories, dreams they'd had. Nothing explicitly sexual or romantic, but intimate. Emotionally intimate in a way that felt like a betrayal all on its own. The most recent message, from Tuesday morning, before our argument, same time this afternoon. I've been thinking about what you said about needing an escape. You deserve better than feeling unappreciated. Her response, yes. I need it. See you at 2. I need it. Like he was her therapy. Her relief. Her escape from me. I sat there in my home office, surrounded by the digital evidence of my wife's secret life, and felt something crack inside me. But revenge is a funny thing. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It creeps in wearing the mask of justice. I did something unforgivable next. I screenshot everything. Every text. Every DM. Every frame of Ring doorbell footage showing her with this Marcus character. I compiled it all into a folder on my computer, labeled it evidence, and sat there staring at it. What was I planning to do? Confront her? Divorce her? Expose her the way I'd been exposed? That last thought lingered. The symmetry of it appealed to the angry, wounded part of me. She'd let me burn online for a stupid joke while she'd been carrying on an emotional affair, at minimum. I still didn't know how physical it had gotten. Maybe she deserved to see how it felt. Maybe our mutual friends, her colleagues, our families, maybe they all deserved to know who she really was. I opened Instagram, started crafting a post in my head. Turns out my moody wife had a reason to be distant. With a screenshot of one of their DMs. It would get massive engagement. It would vindicate me. It would. My phone buzzed. Another message from the anonymous account. Before you do something stupid, you should know the whole story. Your wife isn't the villain. Check your best mate Colin's laptop. He's been logged into your Ring account for 2 months. He's the one who sent me this info. He's been watching your wife. Check the hidden folder on his computer. Password is Brotherhood123. It's connected to your home network. You'll find more than you bargained for. My blood went cold. Colin? My best mate since university, Colin? The godfather to my kids, Colin? Why the hell would he be stalking my wife through my own security system? But the message included Colin's IP address and proof that someone with that IP had accessed my Ring account repeatedly. This anonymous person, whoever they were, had receipts. I lived 3 streets away from Colin. I'd popped over unannounced 100 times. He worked from home as an IT consultant, usually left his back door unlocked during the day for his cat to go in and out. I told Sarah I was running to the shops, drove to Colin's house, let myself in through the back. He was in his front office on a work call. I could hear him through the door. His laptop was on the kitchen table, still logged in. My hands shook as I navigated to his folders, found the hidden one, entered the password the anonymous account had given me. What I found made me physically ill. There were hundreds of files, photos and videos, screenshots of Ring doorbell footage, but not just of Sarah and me. Intimate moments caught through our front windows. Us arguing. Us in the garden. It was a manifesto of sorts. Pages and pages detailing Colin's obsession with my wife. It had started, according to his own words, 3 years ago at my birthday party. He'd been attracted to her, had convinced himself she was unhappy with me, had decided that if he could just prove to her that I was a bad husband, she'd leave me for him. He'd been stoking my worst qualities, encouraging me to post more on social media, laughing the hardest at my jokes about Sarah. He'd even suggested, I remembered now with horror, that I should post that particular joke the night of our argument. Mate, if you don't call her out on her double standards, she'll never respect you. Post it. She needs to see you have a backbone. He'd orchestrated my viral humiliation. But the worst part? The Marcus situation. According to Colin's notes, Marcus Holloway wasn't a love interest. He was Sarah's therapist. She'd started seeing him 2 months ago for anxiety and depression. The meetings weren't affairs. They were therapy sessions she'd been keeping private because she didn't want to worry me. The cash withdrawals were copays. The messages were patient therapist check-ins. Colin had known this, had access to enough of our digital information to piece it together. And he'd twisted it, fed it to me through an anonymous account, hoping I'd explode our marriage myself. The anonymous messenger wasn't trying to help me. They were trying to stop me from doing exactly what Colin wanted me to do. I stood in Colin's kitchen, staring at evidence of a betrayal so profound it rewired my understanding of reality. My best friend had been systematically destroying my marriage while stalking my wife, and I'd almost finished the job for him. I took photos of everything on Colin's computer with my phone. Then I called the police. While I waited for them to arrive, I called Sarah. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice wary. Daniel. Sarah, I need you to listen to me. Don't react. Don't say anything. Just listen. My voice was shaking. Marcus is your therapist, isn't he? Silence. Then, quietly, how did you? I saw the Ring footage. I thought. It doesn't matter what I thought. I was wrong. But Sarah, Colin has been watching you. Watching us. He's been in our security system. He has photos. Disturbing photos. I'm at his house now. I've called the police. Another silence. Then what? I explained everything as quickly as I could. Heard her sharp intake of breath when I described the photoshopped images. Heard her start to cry when I explained how he'd orchestrated my viral post. He told you to post it. Her voice was barely a whisper. He's been manipulating me for years, I think. Making me worse. Making us worse. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. I almost did exactly what he wanted. My voice broke. I almost destroyed us to prove I was right. The police arrived, took my statement, seized Colin's laptop. He was arrested that evening for stalking, harassment, and voyeurism. His computer revealed that he'd been doing this to other women too, women from his gym, his neighborhood. My wife was just his primary obsession. The trial was 3 weeks ago. Colin got 18 months in prison and a restraining order. The whole thing made the news. Local IT consultant stalks best friend's wife, manipulates him into viral humiliation. The irony was not lost on anyone that I'd gone viral twice, for completely opposite reasons. But here's the thing about broken trust. Sometimes, knowing who the real villain is doesn't automatically fix what was broken. Sarah and I tried. We really did. I moved out for a month to give her space while we sorted through everything in couple therapy. I took down all my social media accounts. I wrote her a letter, an actual handwritten letter, apologizing for every thoughtless joke, every time I'd chosen online validation over her feelings, every moment I'd failed to protect her privacy and dignity. She was incredibly gracious. Told me she understood I'd been manipulated, that Colin was a master at psychological warfare, that she didn't blame me for doubting her. But something had changed. Some foundation had cracked that couldn't be fully repaired. The thing is, she told me in one of our therapy sessions about 6 weeks after everything came out, even without Colin's manipulation, you still chose to post that joke. You still valued the opinions of strangers more than my feelings. You still thought humiliating me online was acceptable as long as it was funny. I know, I said, and I hate myself for it. I don't want you to hate yourself. I just want you to understand that the man I married would never have done that. And I don't know if I can trust that he's still in there somewhere. The anonymous messenger turned out to be Colin's ex-girlfriend. She'd left him a year earlier when she discovered his obsessive tendencies, but hadn't had enough evidence to go to the police. When she saw my viral post and recognized me from photos in Colin's flat, she'd put pieces together. She'd hacked into his computer remotely. She was an IT consultant too, which was how they'd met, and found everything. She tried to warn me in a way that would make me investigate rather than immediately react, knowing that Colin was monitoring my online activity and would escalate if threatened. She probably saved my marriage, at least temporarily, but she couldn't save it permanently. The final hook came on a Thursday afternoon, 8 weeks after Colin's arrest. Sarah asked me to meet her at a cafe near our house. Neutral territory, she called it. She was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups of tea, mine prepared exactly how I liked it. That small gesture of care made my eyes sting. "I've made a decision," she said after I sat down. "I wanted to tell you in person. I knew what was coming. Had felt it approaching like a storm on the horizon. I can't do this anymore, Daniel. I've tried. God knows I've tried. But every time I look at you, I remember what it felt like to see my private pain turned into content for strangers. I remember refreshing Instagram and seeing hundreds of people call me controlling and dramatic while you soaked up their validation. And I know Colin manipulated you. I know he made it worse. But you made the choice. You hit post. I know. I whispered. Sarah, I know you're sorry. I believe you're sorry. But sorry doesn't undo the fact that when things got hard, your instinct was to betray my trust for likes. And I can't live my life wondering if the next time we argue, some version of it will end up online. I can't raise our children in a home where their private moments might become content. She slid an envelope across the table. Divorce papers. I've already signed. You could take your time reviewing them. I'm not trying to punish you financially. I just want us to co-parent as healthily as possible and move on with our lives separately. I picked up the envelope with numb fingers. Is there anything I can do? Anything at all? She smiled sadly. You can learn from this. You can teach our children about digital responsibility and the real cost of online validation. You could be a better man for whoever comes after me. But for us? No, Daniel. There's nothing left to do. She stood up and I did too. She hugged me. A real hug, warm and sad and final. I did love you, she said into my shoulder. I want you to know that. The man I married before all this, I loved him so much. Past tense, I said. Past tense, she agreed. She pulled away, picked up her bag, and walked out of the cafe. I watched her through the window as she got in her car and drove away, probably for the last time as my wife. I sat back down, stared at my tea going cold, thought about the trajectory of my life. How one stupid post, made in a moment of defensiveness and ego, had been the pebble that started an avalanche. Colin had manipulated me, yes, but I'd been so easy to manipulate because I'd already been headed in that direction. I'd already prioritized my online persona over my real relationships. I'd already been choosing validation from strangers over intimacy with my wife. Colin had just accelerated what I'd already started. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. I now see my kids every other weekend and Wednesday evenings. Emma barely talks to me. She's at that age where she's figured out how to search the internet, and she found the original post, the memes, all of it. Jack is more forgiving, but I catch him sometimes looking at me with confusion, like he's trying to figure out who I am now. Sarah started dating someone new 3 months after the divorce. A literature professor she met at a book club. She looks happy in the photos the kids show me. Lighter, like a weight's been lifted. Me? I live in a studio flat in a not great part of town. Work transferred me to a different department after the whole situation became office gossip. I deleted every social media account. Don't even watch YouTube without an ad blocker anymore. Can't stand the idea of being part of any algorithm. But here's what keeps me up at night. I found something last week. I was going through old photos, torturing myself with memories of better times, and I came across a screenshot I'd saved years ago. It was from the early days of my Instagram popularity. A comment thread under one of my posts about Sarah burning dinner. The top comment, with hundreds of likes. Mate, your wife sounds like a nightmare. You deserve better. I'd hearted that comment, given it my approval. Let that stranger's validation mean more than my wife's feelings. And there, 3 comments down, was a reply from someone with Colin's name. She doesn't appreciate him. If she did, she wouldn't give him so much material. He'd been there all along, encouraging it, amplifying it, turning my character flaw into a weapon. But I'd forged that weapon myself, long before he picked it up that I don't post this for sympathy. I'm not even sure why I'm telling this story, except maybe as a warning, or a confession, or both. Social media isn't evil. Humor isn't evil. Sharing parts of your life online isn't inherently wrong. But there's a line, a sacred line, between sharing your story and exploiting someone else's. Between making people laugh with you and making them laugh at someone you love. Between seeking connection and seeking validation at any cost. I crossed that line. And even though Colin pushed me, even though he manipulated the situation, the fundamental truth is this. I chose to hit post. I chose likes over love. I chose my ego over my wife's dignity. You can lose everything in the time it takes for a post to go viral. You can destroy a 15-year marriage with one joke. You can betray someone's trust so thoroughly that even when you're both victims of the same monster, the damage is too deep to repair. The scar I carry isn't just the divorce, or the loss of my kids' full-time presence, or the public humiliation. It's the knowledge that I had something precious, someone precious, and I treated her like content, like material, like a punchline instead of a partner. Sarah deserved better than me. She deserves better than the version of me I became. Maybe someday I'll be better. Maybe I'll meet someone new and I'll have learned enough to do it right. Or maybe I'll spend the rest of my life alone in this flat, a cautionary tale for others. Either way, I'll never forget the lesson. Some jokes aren't worth the laugh. Some posts aren't worth the engagement. And no amount of online validation will ever fill the hole left by losing someone who actually loved you before you taught them not to. I posted a joke about my wife, and I lost her forever. Every story leaves a mark. If this one touched you, let the telling tree grow by your like and subscribe.